Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Spider, and welcome back to another review. And today I got a twofer for you, because we're going to be looking at both the Trendmasters 1994 4-inch Mechagodzilla and the Bandai Shokugan 3-inch Mechagodzilla. Why am I reviewing both of these figures at the same time? I don't know, it just kind of felt like it. Anyways, we'll be starting off with the Trendmasters Mechagodzilla, so let's get to it. Alrighty, so here we have the Trendmasters Mechagodzilla, which released back in 1994, and is based on their appearance from the 1993 film Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, also known as Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2, even though it was the third time they had fought, and it had nothing to do with the previous two films. Anyways, on to the articulation. So first up, the figure has a rotation at the waist, and that's it. Yeah, this thing, unfortunately, is basically a borderline statue. The arms don't move, the head doesn't move, the legs don't move, the tail don't move, just the waist. It's quite unfortunate, but what are you gonna do? Anyways, on to the details. So we'll bring him up here, focus him up, brighten up the camera. Here we have him, and covered in this silver paint, which honestly looks really, really good. It really makes the figure kind of pop out. Even though it's basically all one solid color, it looks really, really good. They also did something kind of cool with the eyes. I don't know how well my camera will pick it up, but basically the majority of the eye is yellow, but they've made a orange outline of the eye, which makes it look really cool. And my camera is not doing it justice at all. It looks a lot better in person. Yeah, that's really cool. However, be careful, the silver paint is not at all scratch resistant. As you can see here, it is kind of wearing off in a few places. So that's unfortunate, but hey, what are you gonna do? Now, for the sculpt work. You got the nice old head, which looks very nice. You got some little finer details on the side of the head. You got the teeth, neck, and the big old chest, the hands. You got the legs. You got the back with all the spines sticking out. So you got some big old thrusters. You got the tail. You got some words. Honestly, they did a really good job of making it look like it did in the film. Which, honestly, kind of makes it stand out among other Trendmaster Godzilla figures of the time. Because most of those figures don't look like they did in the movies. Well, I mean, they kind of did, but it was like these extreme, exaggerated versions of those designs. So for this to basically be a one-to-one recreation of his on-screen appearance is kind of odd. But he looks really good, so I ain't complaining. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this figure. On to the next one. Oh, wait, nope. I forgot, there's one more piece of trivia about the Trendmaster Godzilla figures I wanted to mention before we move on. And that is that when a lot of these figures were releasing in the 90s, the films that the characters were from hadn't released yet, and wouldn't for some time. Which is kind of funny, because there are some characters that only appeared in those films. So could you imagine being a kid and looking at toys of characters like Biollante, Mecha King Ghidorah, and Batra, and being like, who the heck are these guys? That's funny to me. I don't know if it's funny to you, but I get a chuckle out of it. Anyways, now on to the next figure. Okay, now we are moving on to Kiryu, aka Mechagodzilla 3. Although I don't think a lot of people actually call him that. Well, unless you grew up playing the Pipeworks Godzilla games. Anyways, this figure released back in 2014 and is based on their appearance from the 2002 film Godzilla against Mechagodzilla. So let's get into the articulation. This guy is actually a bit more articulated than the last one. His head can rotate from side to side. And I think it actually can go all the way around, but I don't feel like doing that because it's kind of a hassle. Anyways, the arms can also move around. He has a slight rotation at the waist. Not a big one, but a little one. And he's got a little movement at the tail. And that's about it. There's nothing at the legs. Which is fine, because it is a bit of a pretty small figure. Alrighty, now on to the details. Let's bring up the camera a little bit. He's got some yellow for the eyes. And he's got a little black arrow, and he actually does have the little red that goes down the side of his face. I really like that they're able to include that itty bitty little detail. It's really cool. You get the blue for his gauntlets and big old backpack cannons. A little gunmetal gray at the front there. And that's pretty much it for paint. So, if you're familiar with Kiryu's design, you probably realize that he's missing a bit of paint in the joint areas, because like all of this stuff here and a little bit in between the necks, that's all supposed to be black, but they didn't bother painting that. However, what he lacks in paint, he very much makes up for with the amount of details they packed into this little guy, because my goodness, it's a lot. So we'll bring him in here. We'll focus up on the face. So get that very, very nice Kiryu face. Looks very much as he did in the film. And they even got I have no idea if my camera will be able to pick this up. But he's even got an MFS3 put on the chest, just like he did in the movie. Like, holy crap, how did they even get that in there? It's so tiny. Yeah, just the sculpt is just phenomenal. It's got everything you would want. There's little gun barrels of the gauntlet molded into the hand, which is fine because it's so small. They get big old guns. Even the front of the guns are molded. Even the bottom of their feet are molded. Look at that. It's got all the thrusters and everything. You got some words. Got the bottom of the tail. There's just so much detail in this guy. He's just so cool. My goodness, there's so much. Alright, I gotta stop because I'll just keep gushing about the amount of details is in this guy. Because it's a lot, especially considering the size, because he's not very big. So, the fact they're able to put that much into him is just crazy. I mean, it's basically the same amount of detail you would find in a 6-inch Godzilla figure. So, yeah. So that's pretty much it for Kiryu. We'll bring back the other Mechagodzilla here. They're both pretty cool. They're not really in scale with each other, which, while that would have been cool, is completely understandable considering they're made by two entirely different companies several years apart from one another. Anyways, we're done looking at the figures. We should move on to the size comparisons. So, to start off the size comparisons, as always, here it is with a Lego minifigure. The Bandai Pack of Destruction minifigure Mothra. The Bandai Pack of Destruction minifigure Godzilla. The Bandai Pack of Destruction minifigure Mogira. It is with the Jakks Pacific Godzilla and Rodan Kings Collide 2-pack. There it is with the Diamond Select Toys 1974 Mechagodzilla Vinimate. Hey, I finally reviewed all 3 Mechagodzillas. Well, all 3 of the classic Mechagodzillas, because they've got a few more nowadays. And just to get an idea, here it is with a standard sized Bandai Godzilla figure, the 1954 Godzilla. And here it is with the previous review, the Transformers Animated Later Class Megatron. Hey. Now that we're done with that, it's measuring time. Actually, no, we'll bring him a little closer to the camera to do this. Alright, that's a little better. You can actually see him a bit now. So the Trendmasters Mechagodzilla is about 4.5 inches. And this guy is a little over 3.5, maybe 3.75 inches, maybe. I don't know. So yeah, they're pretty tiny little Mechagodzillers. They ain't very big. But that's kind of the whole point. They're not supposed to be big. Overall, I really like them. I think they're cool little guys. They do lack a bit of paint, but it's understandable considering how small and probably how cheap these guys were. I don't think they were very much initially. Yeah, they look really cool. They're just nice little, little knickknacks you can put on the shelf. Or heck, they actually probably make some pretty fun toys for like a little kid. Yeah, let's get a little more centered there. Is that centered? I don't know. Now, if you wanted these figures for yourself on eBay, this guy is actually, his price is kind of all over the place. Out of the box, he's going for around $20. But if you want it brand new in the box, it's around $40. Oh yeah, I completely forgot to mention, this figure originally came in a 2-pack with Godzilla, with a Godzilla figure. That completely slipped my mind. I don't know how. I have it written down here on a note card, and I still forgot to say it. So, yeah. Originally came in a 2-pack with Godzilla. This guy came by himself, and he is going for usually less than $20 on eBay. So they're kind of expensive for their size, but if you can find a cheaper one, I recommend it because they are pretty neat. So, that's pretty much it for this review. Hope you all enjoyed. See you later. Sayonara. Bye.